And he's like, I will not stand for what I'm seeing here today. I will say to all of you here, I will lay down my life for any white character that may perish. And he's like, he just set himself up. He set himself up. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content on my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games. I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
In 1992, we would discover on Earth, everyone can hear you scream.
But now, chat, we're going to go ahead and jump into this film. But before I jump into the nitty-gritty details of Alien 3, I have a very important question to ask you, chat. How many of you have seen the I got this wrong. It was 1992. It was 1992, chat. It doesn't fucking matter what year it came out. How many of you have seen the 1992 horror science fiction film Alien 3? I am doing the theatrical version because it is the worst version. I mean, both are bad. I don't think either. I mean, I guess the assembly cut is somewhat better, but I gotta do the worst one because that's more fun for the review. Chris here says, yeah, ... New Edition, I saw all the other movies last month. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Rank them for me, New Edition. How would you rank them? Jason, me, sadly. DDR, I've seen enough reviews to know how shitty this version is. Pretty bad. It's pretty bad. A bit flop, I probably have, but I don't remember it. Not missing much. I'll tell you that right now. Good that you don't remember. Your brain's doing yourself a fucking favor. Nice. Hamburger? Nope. Rascal, I don't think I have. I don't recall Ridley having a shaved head. Oh, Ripley, yes. Luke the Boss, the year of bad sequels. Yeah, that's true. Cast Fate, not in its entirety. Slayer, me, but years later than I was a preteen. Lost Miracle, me, kinda. Axel, fortunately, yes, saw it in the theater. Wow, okay, cool. And Berserk, I saw it a long time ago, didn't like it after seeing 1 and 2. Of course, I understand, right there with you. I've heard enough not want to, says Casfay. Billy Casey, I have. Everyone, yes. Marvel Buffett have not. I like this. Is good. This is good. We got a diverse group here, chat. Some who have seen, some who have not. Maybe some parts of it. I like that. Haven't seen it, but I have read a lot about the alternate version. Dear Spock, I think I saw all of them pretty close together. I barely remember this one. If it's got Sigourney Weaver, I'm there, says that Chicano kid. Batboy, I've seen every Alien movie. I'm a longtime fan of Aliens. It's my second rated R movie after Child's Play 2. That's not bad. I like Child's Play 2. That's my favorite of the entire series. I think I got Child's Play 2, and maybe like Bride of Chucky, then maybe 1 and 3 after that. Yeah. I like 1, 2, 3, and then Bride of Chucky. The only one I really don't like is Seed of Chucky. That was the last movie I saw in the franchise. I was like, I do not like this. Did not care for it. Didn't see it, says Glee. Danny, I want Blomkamp to make the Alien movie that would totally disregard this film. Even both versions didn't work for me. I'm right, Danny. We're on the same wavelength right now. I agree with you. I think Neil Blomkamp, I think he's only made one great film, one good movie. When that being District 9. I was not a fan of Elysium, and I was definitely not a fan of Chappie. However, I would have at least liked to have seen him do that third Alien film where it washes away all those bad sequels, picks up after the events of Aliens, and ends Ripley's story, Newt's story, Hicks's story, Bishop's story, I assume. I'm right there with you. I would have preferred that. Yes, Chad, I have seen this movie several times. I think I've seen both the theatrical version and I've seen the assembly cut version. The first time I remember seeing like the theatrical version like on TV, I think years ago, maybe like on HBO or one of those premiere channels way back in the day, when I had already seen Alien and Aliens. And I remember being bored by it. Like, when I was a kid, Alien was my first R-rated movie I've ever saw before, Chad. I was like 10 years old, and it scared me But it's now it's, like as a child, like I didn't sleep well for like 3 days because I was thinking about it. But it left such an impression on me, chat, for years, for 20 years, after that, it's now become one of my favorite movies. I'll be debating, like, is Alien my favorite movie of all time? It's definitely in my top 5, perhaps even in my top 3. I mean, I think it's an amazing film. It does so many things right, has so many compelling characters, and I love the scenario. I love that it's a simplified survival story, chat, but you feel so invested. And then you had a great sequel in Aliens, which didn't do the same thing, which is what a sequel, that's what sequels should not do the same exact thing over and over and over again. It did something different. And I appreciate for that, where it became more of an action film, became a war movie. This time it's war, which was, the big, line, the big selling point of that original movie. Introduced us to so many other cool characters, chat, and Hicks and Vasquez and Hudson and Apone, Look Into My Eye, all that, and where we had the evil android in Bishop. Now you have a good one, or maybe morally gray one evil android in Ash. You have the good one, or the morally gray one with Bishop, and I loved it. I think I prefer Alien over Aliens, but Aliens is still an amazing movie, probably in my top 20, no doubt about that. And then we had Alien 3, and and again, the reason why this movie is looked down upon so much is because it is a product of development hell. I actually encourage you, like, do you need to watch this movie? Not really. I wouldn't say to watch this movie. You can do better things with your time. But I would encourage you to watch the behind the scenes documentaries about this film. There's stuff on YouTube for free. I think like the entire documentary on Alien 3 is available. It's like 2 hours where they go over like what the fuck happened to this film. And it's fascinating. You would think like 20th Century Fox is like, oh, this fucking golden goose, this literal egg, this disgusting pooped out egg that has made us so much money in the 70s and then into the 80s. And it's like, now we're moving into a new decade. There's no way we can mess up. And they dropped that egg, and it was all over the place. Like, oh God, and they couldn't put it back together again, chat. They couldn't put together the disgusting abomination Humpty Dumpty that they had originally had a hand in creating, chat. It was over. I mean, really, like, we haven't had a good alien movie, truly a good alien movie, since 1986's Alien, chat. Nearly 40 fucking years ago. 35 plus years ago now, chat. That's nuts when you think about it. There were so many ideas for what an Alien 3 would be. There's your scripts online. I've read several scripts. The most notable, which is, I believe, William Gibson's script, which has actually been turned into, it was available online. He wrote this script like in 1987, a year after the release of Aliens, capitalizing off that film's success. And with that script, which you can read online for free, it's also recently been turned into an audiobook, which actually bring in Lance Hendrickson, and they bring in Michael Biehn, who do the voices of their characters, respectively, of Hicks and Bishop, or Bishop and Hicks, respectively. But you can also read a graphic novel. And the whole concept for that being, like, I'll give you like a kind of basic rundown for that particular movie, where it takes place soon after the events of Aliens. Ripley and Newt and Hicks and Bishop, they survive the events of that film, but there is a catastrophic situation where Ripley's pod puts her into a deeper cryo state sleep, and so she's not really in the movie at all. And Newt is sent back to Earth to live with her grandparents. So she's like, okay, so she's out. And it mostly focuses on Bishop and Hicks as they arrive at this station, and how Weyland-Yutani has been experimenting in that time with the alien DNA. So they somehow obtain, I forget the circumstance in which they obtain it, but it's not just like, oh, we're not just dealing with, oh, it's another outbreak. No, this time, like, people are becoming aliens, where they're physically transforming into them, bursting through people's skins and things like that. It's not just like coming out of your chest. There are also ideas for like multiple chest bursters, like chest bursters coming out of people's, heads and arms and assholes and shit. It's weird. And it's basically just, Bishop and Hicks trying to stop Weyland-Yutani on this station. And you can read that, or you can listen to the audiobook. Good to see you, sir. Maybe I'm talking about butthole aliens and, William Gibson's, unmade, Alien 3 script. And there were so many other ones from 89 all the way to the 90s, chat. There were ideas to have, the characters go to this wooden planet. Or this space station made completely out of wood, which doesn't really make sense to me. How does a wooden space station function where it has this very agrarian society, no technology, Chad? It's all these monks, and they form their own cult and their own weird fucking religion, and the alien somehow miraculously gets on board, and it starts running amok. There are other versions where you have the characters where they land on either a prison planet, like a prison planet, or like a prison on a planet, or a prison space station, and the alien runs amok on there. And eventually, Fox is like, well, we're gearing up to do another Alien film, and they hadn't settled on an idea. They rejected all these scripts. They're looking at other things, but famously, Chad, infamously, they put out a trailer, I think in like 1991. You probably have seen this before, where it actually was a great fucking premise. Which was another one of the scripts. But it was a premise where in 1979, in space, no one could hear you scream. In 1986, it was war. Well, in 1992, on Earth, everyone can hear you scream, insinuating that the alien or aliens would arrive on Earth and they would have to fight humanity. And there were scripts. There was one I know of where the aliens did arrive on Earth and how the government basically said, yeah, fuck all the poor. One of the times, like, yeah, fuck them. And it was the citizens, and led by Ripley and Hicks, against the aliens in this massive war. That was another one that they had, and they rejected. It would have been fucking cool. Would have been like, all right, here it is. Now it's home. Now it's like these things that we fought light years away. It was like the small crew and then these Marines, and now it here's at our fucking doorstep. And Ripley and Hicks and Bishop and Newt have to use their experience to help the humanity so we don't go extinct against this thing. That's a really cool and captivating story. And Fox said, nope. And they had that. And of course, famously, you don't go to Earth. We don't go to Earth in this movie, chat. Not at all. They had a director on board, but I think because of creative differences, that director left. And eventually they brought on, freshman filmmaker, Chad. This was his first movie, David Fincher. Beforehand, he was doing music videos and things, which a lot of, directors came from, doing commercials and music videos and television and, and everything. This was his first theatrical feature, and since then, Chad, he has disowned this movie. He has said it was an awful film. It was an awful experience. I learned a lot, but it is terrible. It is terrible. I don't blame him. Listen, I don't blame him at all. I blame the people at Fox. 20th Century Fox fucked this movie. And the other person I think had a hand in affecting the film trajectory was also Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver at the time, she said, I want to be in it in a minimum amount. Like, she was all for William Gibson's script. The one where she basically makes a cameo and it's done and the franchise continues on post Ripley. She was fine with that one. But she said, I will do Alien 3 on two conditions. One, she'd be paid between $4 and $5 million, which I think is acceptable. I mean, she's the face of the franchise. And they also, Fox wanted to bring Ripley in because, and I get this because, I mean, she was the recurring character that we saw the most often. She was one of the, other than Sarah Connor, who would come out a year prior in Terminator 2, in 1991's Terminator 2, she was probably the most well-known action heroine, aside from, Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. And so I understood that, but she requested $4 to $5 million, which she got, which she deserves, I think. But she had a weird request at the time. And she requested that in the story, this came from her. A lot of people they blame the scriptwriter, they blame David Fincher. It's like, no. She requested that all the action that took place on the prison, because they combined the cult, the Wooden Planet cult, and the prison with the prison planet into one movie. They're like, okay, just do that. Just do that, make it work. She requested that none of the action rely on guns, because she was, part of that really big anti-gun campaign. And she says, I don't want to have any guns in this movie. But Sigourney, it's a prison. Usually these people have guns to defend themselves from the prisoners. And she's like, no guns. And it's just like, how is that going to work? She's like, let's just have an honor system. What? What? So Sigourney Weaver deserves a little bit of the blame for some of the stupid shit that happened in this movie, chat. Again, the people who I don't blame really any of the other actors. They were just hired, even though they're so disposable, chat, in this film. Like, if I had to be positive at the front, I don't blame David Fincher at all. He was a young man brought into this huge franchise that Fox was just completely destroying and fumbling and never fucking recovered after this movie. And so he deserves none of the blame. He was a deer in the headlights for this film. He finished it. The fact that he even finished this without a working script is incredible. That was a Leviathan-sized task. And other than Sigourney Weaver's performance, which I think it's kind of mixed bag. Interesting things happen to her, but still, it's like this could be better. Charles Dutton, I think, is fine in the movie. I think he's definitely in isolated scenes, he's good, even though he falls into a really bad stereotype in horror films, and we'll fucking get to it. The other actor who I like is Charles Dance. Tywin Land, probably best known for playing Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. He plays a Dr. Clemens in the movie, who Ripley has a sexual relationship with. It's like, okay, that's kind of weird. But he's one of the characters you can kind of bond with and actually like, and you actually know. I was like, I liked him. And I do like the idea of, I like the look of this, like, parts of the movie. Like, the idea of, like, an alien movie taking place on a prison planet, or, like, where it's all these prisons. So you already have a dangerous human element there, but you also have the alien, which is cool. It's just not enough is done in that environment. There's things that just happen. It's like, wait, you don't have any fucking guns? What are you talking about? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, it's weird, but I like maybe certain aspects of the aesthetic. But overall, now you're brownie. Hey, wait, dear man, I'm packing over here. Also, oh, yeah, you're moving now, you're brownie. I hope, listen, moving can be very difficult, I know. But I wish you a very safe move into your new apartment. Let us know once you're comfortable and you're all set up. But no, cheers. Let's get some Mr. Revenier's, Mr. Reven Heist for Naya Brownie, and wishing her a safe move. It's good to have you here. Well, I got Jackbox Party Pack 8, by the way, Naya. We'll be playing that later this evening, which should be really, really fun. But yeah, overall, chat. Yeah, this is an abomination of a film. And a certain number of people are to blame, but the majority of people that were involved in this, they're not. They're not. But chat, let's go ahead. Oh, also, Sigourney Weaver also requested, kill me. I want Ripley to die at the end of this movie, and there's no way I'll be brought back for a sequel. Tune in for tomorrow, chat, to Alien Resurrection, because you know what they do? They resurrect Ripley. They put her into a really horny alien human hybrid clone body. And she's got a lust, chat, for Winona Ryder. She's going to fuck Winona Ryder. But we're not talking about that yet. But, chat, we start with a really bad opening credit sequence. When your credits are bad, you know you're in for a bad time, chat. Where we see, as the film starts, Alien 3. It's like, okay, got it. All right. Yeah. Bad title, by the way. Went from Alien to Aliens. Just put a fucking 3 at the end. I hate sequels with just a number on it. I really wish you would just have a subtitle. Like, call this something different. When you put just a number, it's like, it's fucking lame. Like, I think of, like, how Marvel has done it recently, chat. Like, I really like, they didn't do just Captain America 2. They did, no, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War. Like, I like that. Don't do the boring naming scheme of, like, Iron Man, then Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. It's like, no. Get like a nice subtitle on there, chat. Or kind of change the title around and be like, ooh, I see what you did there. Now, Alien fucking 3. It's like, all right, listen, we have enough problems. We're not going to argue about the title. Put a fucking little 3 on the end. Maybe make the A like a little slanty. Slanty A? Huh? There you go. Alien 3, chat. But we are on board the Sulaco, chat, after the events of Aliens, where, Ripley fought the Queen, ejected the Queen out of the Sulaco's asshole, chat. Her and Hicks and Newt and Bishop, they went into the little cryopods, chat, for a nice sleep. Now, we discover in the beginning of the movie that somehow an alien egg was brought on board. The alien queen apparently shat one out. Now, as we see in Aliens, I take umbrage with this. You could just tell, like, yeah, we're retconning. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? In Aliens, in the birthing chamber, chat, in the egg chamber, we see that the alien queen has a big old poop chute. She has a big old, like, vagina cocoon. I'm going to call it the vagina cocoon. She has the vagina cocoon, which poops out alien eggs. Poops them out. And so it takes a while for her to birth them. So did she manage in the time when she was on board the landing vessel, the landing craft, to form a vagina cocoon? Oh, alien, that would have been good. Ah, there you go. That's what now you're thinking. Now you're fucking thinking. That's how you do it. Did she have time to grow another vagina cocoon and shit out? Not one, but we discovered two. No, is it one? No, yeah, one egg. No, 2 eggs. She shits out 2 eggs, and it's like, how did this happen? We didn't see this. And so it's like, all right, it's some retconning bullshit, chat. She didn't bring these eggs with her, because some people were like, in some versions of the script, Bishop actually brought the eggs on board, but that's never said in the movie. So it's like, okay, kind of making Bishop like a bit of a bad guy, chat, and a nefarious son of a bitch, even though he admits like, oh yeah, there were eggs on board. Yeah, I knew about it. But it's like, well, how did they get on board? He's like, I don't know. No one knows. No one can explain. Some people have said that it was alien spores. This is when it gets weird. It's when they're trying to change the physiology of the aliens, where it was a collection of spores that came from the queen and they became eggs. But it's like, we've never seen that. Like, the closest thing I can think to that is in the original director's cut of Alien, chat. This is before that Ridley Scott, because Ridley Scott didn't come up with the concept of the queen. That was James Cameron. But in his idea is how the aliens procreate is they will take an organism and change their physiology and make them into an egg. Like, and we see that in the one section where we find Brett and Dallas. Brett is mid-transformation into an egg, and I assume Dallas is, or he's either being used as food. That's the big thing. Like, again, it's like, what's happened? You don't fucking know. He's like, okay, there's eggs now. And every time we are like on the Sulaco, it cuts and we're like looking at the credits. We're looking like directed by, David Fincher, starring Sigourney Weaver, starring a bunch of white, pale, British bald guys. And it's like, but what's going on in the scene? And we're cutting back and forth. What's actually happening is fucking horrifying, chat, because we see that these eggs are hatching. They're on the cryopods. They're getting in, seemingly attaching the faces of our characters, chat. Are they attaching themselves to Hicks? Are they attaching themselves to Newt or to Ripley, chat? It's like, what the fuck is going on? But then I think that one of the alien face huggers cuts itself on the glass, on the cryotube glass, and it drips down, and this creates a fire. And we're constantly cutting to the credits too, so it's like I'm getting whiplash. I'm gonna have a seizure if you keep doing this. It creates a fire, and the Sulaco's just like, I don't like fire, and it shoots out the cryotubes into like a weird like escape pod, like this giant fucking escape pod that comes down around the tubes, like all of them at once, and just shoots that shit out, chat. And it's falling down towards this, just crash landing down towards this planet called, like, I can't pronounce, Fiorina? It's a penal colony, chat. Fiorina. And it crash lands violently, and you see inside of it, everyone's like, ah! Like, you have Hicks. He's just eviscerated. You see his like bones and cartilage just popping out of his body. He gets a glass full of tummy, chat. So funny enough, Michael Biehn, I think he sued 20th Century Fox because they used his likeness, because he didn't star in the movie. They just used his likeness for the Hicks like abomination, like pile of glass meat that he became, and he was paid just as much as he was paid for Aliens, chat. So fucking good for Hicks. We then cut over to Bishop, who is super gross and even more milky, chat. He's like extra milky now. He looks like macaroni and cheese if you added like way too much milk. Like, you gotta have the right amount of cheese, chat, the right amount of milk and butter. But they added just way too much fucking milk, and he's like super milky. And then we see probably the most horrifying thing in the movie, like Newt, this new character to the franchise in Aliens, chat. As we learn in the original in Aliens, Ripley lost her daughter. Her daughter, aged to the point where she passed away in her like late 60s, and Ripley was never able to see her grow up. Gets attached to because Aliens is about mothers, chat. It's about Ripley as a mother, and it's about the alien queen as a mother. And she finds this new girl, and she sees her daughter, and that little girl and takes care of her, and we bond with Newt, and we love Newt, and we're like, you know, get away from her, you bitch, like all that. It's like, yes, yes. And we see Chet inside Newt's cryopod, and just like she woke up screaming in horrific pain, chat, as she died, like that. So she is also gone. And they do this cutting back and forth between the opening credits, chat. So they didn't even give us any time to experience the deaths of these characters. And that's a big fuck you. Now, at the same time, it's like, that takes balls. That takes a lot of balls to like, hey, this is this fucking world. We're very nihilistic. Bad shit happens to really good people, which is true. But this isn't reality. You're telling a story. And if we get invested in these characters, whether it be one movie ago or two movies ago, we want to see the journey continue with them. Don't kill them before the movie even starts, before the movie has barely began, in the first 60 seconds. That's cheating your audience. That makes you feel like, well, what the fuck was the point of the last movie if everyone's dead anyway? And it's like, that's not good storytelling. You could say, hey, that's a risk. I took a risk. But at the same time, it's bad writing, chat. And it just kind of leaves you with oh, fuck this. Just doesn't leave you feeling, it doesn't make you excited to watch what continues. Like, well, half of everyone I cared about is dead. And now I'm with all these weird, pale, British, horny, white dudes. I don't like them, because that's who finds the pod chat. Because we see, I don't understand. This society's weird, where it's a penal colony, where I get that. It's like, it's Space Australia, chat. No offense to the Australians in the chat. But it's literally Space Australia if, like, everyone was bald and horny. And they're, like, farming and shit on the planet, but everything's, like, covered in soot and dirt and asbestos. It's like, what the fuck are you gonna farm here? It doesn't make any sense. But they see this thing crash down, and they go over to the escape pod, and that's when they see, you know, Hicks just look like a bunch of meat with glass inside. He looks like Meatloaf if you added, like, a window pane to it, like a sheet of glass to it. That's what he looks like. We see Milky Mac and Cheese, Bishop. We see Newt with just her death scream, and then we see Ripley's pod seemingly untouched. And they go over there. There's a fucking sight gag where a mask comes down. And it looks like a face. I'm going to go, oh, blimey, what was that? And they're all talking with very thick Cockney accents. But they take her, chat. And we cut. And then she wakes up, and she is looking upon the pale, bald face of Tywin Lannister, chat, Charles Dance. And he is probably the best pale person in this movie. Because he says, it's okay, relax, you're being taken care of right now. And she's like, what's happened? He's like, it's fine. I just wanted to tell you that you crash landed on this planet. It's a penal colony, but we're here to help you. Thank you for helping. And for whatever reason, it's very odd, because I watched these two movies back to back, chat. Alien 3 and Dune have something in common, where everyone whisper talks in this film. Why are we being so fucking quiet? Why is everyone, like, just talking like this the whole time? We don't want to say anything bad because it might set off the prisoners, and we like to keep it quiet here, you know? It's like, hey, out of sight, out of mind, you know, but I have some important things to tell you. There's an alien here! Like, everyone talks this way. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just odd to me. And I think it doesn't help, because you'll cut to a scene where everyone's like, and this pissed me off. I hate this, where you have a scene where it's so fucking quiet, and I have to turn the volume up on my TV, because I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? I have to put subtitles on eventually, because then after that, we'll go to a scene where you have the alien go, and grab someone, and it blows my fucking eardrums out my ear, chat, and I'm like, god damn it, I had to lower the volume again. It pissed me the fuck off. Luke the Boss, I have a question. Was Newt always going to get killed off, or did they have plans to recast her because that actor hasn't done a role since? True, yes. So it seems like they probably wouldn't have been able to get her back. I mean, in that case, recast her. Listen, there are plenty of blonde white girls in Hollywood that they could have gotten to play an older Newt. To this day, they could do that. Like, I would be fine with that. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same person. I get, because I know this movie came out in '92, which was 6 years after the original movie. Or they could have done the really cool thing, and kind of horrifying too. But what if, and this is my idea, this is part of what I think what Neil Blomkamp was also thinking of doing, where the cryopods malfunction. Because the purpose of the cryopods is to keep you in stasis, so you do not age, so you do not get disease, you don't become sick or anything. But what if the cryopods malfunction during their travel? And that 6 years, Ripley, Hicks, and Newt have aged. And so that would be a really interesting element where you have this little girl who's suddenly in the body of because in the movie she's 12, so now she's in the body of an 18-year-old woman. How the fuck do you deal with that? That would have been interesting. Like, even like if she'd survive, like say if you kill Hicks, what I think would have been a huge mistake, because they're kind of like a familial unit in the original Aliens. I mean, think of the last half of Aliens. Like when we're like, okay, our fucking asses are to the wall. We got to plan this. You see that. I wouldn't say flirting, but you see that chemistry between Hicks and Ripley. How they're eyeing each other, how they look at each other. They got that, Simba Nala, I'm gonna fuck you eyes tonight, chat. Okay, can you feel the love tonight? I always felt that, chat. That would have been interesting to me because they're a family unit. But how would have been interesting would have been if fucking Newt is now 18, but she has the mind of a 12-year-old, and she's on a prison planet, a penal colony where all the guys are crazy and horny. That would have been fascinating to deal with. And Ripley, being the mother figure, protecting her while also dealing with the fact that she's now older. That is a really interesting concept. And they went, fuck it, kill her. And it's like, stupid. Goddamn waste of time, chat. But we're back to the Alien 3 ASMR stream, chat. Tywin is whispering to her, telling her, oh yeah, listen, I know you're really sad and stuff, and you're injured. But Ripley has like a really fucked up eye for like a third of the movie too. Her eyes just like really engorged and just like, damn, Jesus, someone get this girl some eye drops here. But he tells her that all the characters died. She's like, what? And it's like, okay. And we transition. We cut. Tells her that Hicks and Newt and Bishop all dead. Bishop's no longer functioning. He's not really dead because he's an android, but he's no longer functioning. And there's no way you can wake him up. Okay, sure. But then, chat, we cut, and we are with the warden, who, again, we're just surrounded by pale, bald British people. You can't discern who anyone is. We have the warden, who's like the fattest of them. It's like, okay, I know that's the warden because he's fat and he has a bouncy ball, which he always bounces and squeezes. I'm like, that's the guy in charge. Okay, I get it. And he's like, and he's giving a speech. He's updating the penal colony. He's like, as you know, as some of you may know, a woman has survived the crash. And this woman does indeed have a vagina. And they're like, whoa. They can't believe it, chat. This is a woman. She's got a vagina. And she's like, as some of you may know, she may also have boobs. They're like, oh, boobs. And so they're very, not a vagina. I know. They're mad about it. The people are like, you're lying. There's no vaginas here. And he's like, I'm telling you the truth. We're on the honor system. We are on the honor system, okay? She is a woman. She doesn't indeed have a bosom, bazungas, boobs, if you will. And we checked, a vagina is also present. Oh, blasphemy. They're very mad about the vajayjay, chat. It's like, all right. Okay, sure. Eventually, she's up. They get Ripley, up and moving. And everyone's just looking at her like, I want that vagina. It's like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. I'm sure these characters are not gonna die, chat. I'm sure they're gonna have a change of heart. They're not just sent out there as lambs to the slaughter. These pieces of shit. Anyway, Tywin takes her to this fucking disgusting looking room where they're bringing down the escape pod in there. And they're like, we've already taken out the bodies, but we want you to, look in there and see if you find anything. Maybe you can know what happened with the crash. And so Ripley goes in there. And she's looking around and shit, and she's like, she's feeling all sad because her daughter basically died, and her could have been, partner died, and Bishop's dead, and she liked Bishop. That relationship was so cool. She initially didn't trust Bishop, and then she's like, she did trust him, which was cool. But it's like, nah, fuck it, who cares anymore? But she notices, chat, she notices some alien acid, and she's like, that's not good. There was an alien on board. And so she goes and she talks to Tywin about that because she wants to make sure there's no infection, that there's no baby alien inside anyone's tummy. Meanwhile, chat, we cut to one of the bald British guys who's examining the pod, and he has a dog. He has a dog. In the theatrical version, it's a dog, chat. And he goes, "Oi, how you doing, boy? What's wrong with your mush? And the dog's like kind of got all this like weird, like, you know, foam and like mucus and shit, and it's like injured too, like across its like face, like it's kind of got like a little ripped right down here and all the way down. What did this to you? And the dog's like, I don't fucking know what I don't know what it was. And he's like, oh, we do this to your dog. And it's like, an alien? I assume it's an alien. We'll see, chat. But eventually, we get to one of the most disgusting parts of the movie where Ripley wants to see the dead bodies. You know, obviously Bishop, he's a fucking robot, so he can't have an alien inside of his tummy. He's fine. Nana, thank you for subscribing 6 months, 3 months away from pooping out that Twitch review. Thank you, Nana. My phone is gonna die, so I thought I would say hi. Thank you, Nana. Currently talking about Alien 3, discussing the dead bodies of Newt and Hicks, because Ripley's got to check them out and see if they got little aliens in their tummies. But thank you so much, Nana. Thank you for stopping by the stream. I hope you get your battery charged soon. But they then go to the morgue, chat, where Tywin's like, hey, listen, you sure you want to see this? And she's like, I have to see it. And they don't need to do an autopsy on Hicks, chat, because he's really fucked up. Again, he just looks like meatloaf that has a lot of glass in it. So he's like, there's definitely no alien organism inside of his tummy. And then he's like, well, the only other one is the little girl, chat. Is the little girl, Newt. And he's like, you want to see her? She goes, show me. And they unzip her because she's in a body bag, chat. And then we get like a really weird scene where Ripley is like touching her, maybe she's like examining, but she's like really touching her face and her neck and like her kind of upper chest area. She's like just being very touchy and things and like close, but it's like, it's a lot. And like even Tywin's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. And then he's like, you know, based on the exterior, I don't see any marks. She goes, we have to make sure. Cut her open. And Tywin's like, okay. And he goes over, we see all these fucking medical tools and knives and shit, chat. And he gets this big giant, I don't know what, like seesaw, chest saw. And he starts eviscerating the small, frail, dead body of Newt, chat. And you hear the sound effects as it cuts in the meat through the chest cavity and shit, chat, through that breastplate right here. It's like, oh, and Ripley's like, do it, I need to know. And they open her up and he fucking, like, you know, opens her up and he's like, there's nothing in there except little child intestines and shit. And she's like, dig deeper. It's like, no. He's like, okay. And he starts pulling all the shit out. Nothing in there, Chad. She's like, all right, sew her back up. And then the warden with his little bouncy ball comes in and he's like, so Doc, is there any indication of infection? He goes, no. So he's like, good. Wrap him up and we'll put him in the incinerator. We're going to put him into the magma buckets. So at this penal, it's weird. At this penal colony, they don't really have guards. They'll explain a bit what's actually fucking going on. They'll explain a bit. But they have like this weird honor system, but they also work here, and it's like a smelting plant. Like, I don't know what they do. Like, they're dealing with like hot metal shit and magma and lava and lead, and I guess they're building like spaceship parts. I don't fucking know. But they have these giant industrial-sized like buckets, shit. They're huge, and they fill them up with like lava and molten lead. And so then the warden, they wrap up, you know, Hicks and Newt like mummies. And then they have him over this precipice when Ripley's just fucking sad and crying in the arms of Tywin Lannister, chat. And the warden's just like, I didn't know these fucks, but what happened to them sounds awful to me. Or don't like it. Anyway, put him in the bucket. And so they push the meatloaf glass body of Hicks into the lava bucket, and they push the eviscerated corpse of Newt also into the lava bucket, chat, where they melt, I assume. I guess they fucking melt. I don't know. And then, chat, we get the introduction. we get the introduction chat of the mystical, magical black man, Charles Dutton. And he's like, I will not stand for what I'm seeing here today. I will say to all of you here, I will lay down my life for any white character that may perish. And he's like, he just set himself up. He set himself up like as the blackifice chat. He's like, it's a sad day when I see all these little white girls getting cut up. I won't stand for it. Just lose. He's super fucking religious, always quoting the Bible. And he's like, I will not let any of he's like a slightly less racist version of Uncle Ruckus. I will make sure none of my white brethren die here today, and I swear my life to that white woman I just saw up there. I'm your man. It's like, okay. All right, sure. They did him so fucking dirty in this movie, chat. But he's like, yep, I'm going to lay down my life for the whites, as he says, chat. Oh, and during the funeral scene, we cut to the dog who is like, shitting out an alien, because it cuts back and forth. So it cuts back to, them dumping Newt and Hicks's bodies into the lava bucket. Charles Dutton, basically proclaiming a life debt to the white lady he just saw on top of the lava bucket. And we see that the dog is shitting out an alien. And like bursts out of its chest. Now, this is weird because this is the first time we've seen an alien come from a different species. And it's not like the regular like little chest burster. It's like it looks like fully grown, like it has limbs and legs and shit. And it's like a dog. Look at a chihuahua because it's like, I'm so fucking cold. It's so fucking cold here. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's just like shaking and everything. So that's weird. But the thing, it's like, that's the big threat. We went from alien to aliens, and a shit ton of them, and now we're back to the one, and it's a dog alien. And like the thing about it, witness me. Thank you so much, h.r.giger. No name woman. The power goes out again. Oh no, I'm sorry. Wishing everyone a great night. No anyone have a fantastic evening. Thank you for stopping on the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my performance as Charles Dutton, who will lay down his life for any white lady he comes across. Oh, my Lord. Oh, God damn it. But thank you, Xvar. I hope you're doing well. Juicy, Leech5, welcome to stream. But yeah, just a lame, like we went from like a shit ton of aliens, like an entire hive and the queen, which is so like, oh, that's so cool. It's a giant baby making alien. And now it's a dog? And it just walks on 4 legs, and that's it. And they do this, like, really bad, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's a lot of blue screen in this movie, and the blue screen looks awful. It's crazy that this film takes place after, it's years. Like, Alien was shot in 79, or, it was shot in the 70s. 80, you had Aliens in 86. And yet we're in the 90s now, and it looks so much worse than the original films. It's fucking bizarre. And they did a lot of blue screen shots. But there is some puppetry. They do some guy in a suit, and they had this, like, really bad claymation, stop motion, blue screen alien. And it's just, oof. It's oof to look at. But we see the thing just, like, fucking shake and shit, and it just goes away. I mean, it would have been really, at the very least, have like more aliens or something. Like, okay, maybe we can't do a whole hive, but maybe it be where it's like a ton of face huggers and they're infecting these stupid pale British white bald guys we don't give a shit about. And this creates like, maybe like, they're fucked up because they got diseases and shit. So let's get like an STD alien that like vomits herpes at someone. I don't know. Or a gonorrhea alien. It's got this big, weird, leaky penis. They could have done something, Chad. They could have done something different, but we just get, it's a dog. Lame. And the assembly cut, I believe it's like a cow, which is like, all right. I mean, again, cow alien also lame. I think it's a dog. I guess what's cooler, Chad? A cow or a dog? I guess I gotta go with a dog, really, because cow alien's like a cow alien, really? It just sounds stupid. So that thing comes out the dog, and the dog dies as you expect. Eventually, Chad. After we hear about Charles Dutton's proclamations about protecting the white people, Ripley has to shave her head because everyone it was an ox, whatever, a bovine. A bovine. It was a big bull thing. It had an udder. Thank you, Christopher the 10 minutes, the clarification. Excuse me, it was an ox. It's like, okay. But we cut from that. Ripley has decided to shave her head so she looks like all the pale white guys. And I think they say because they got lice or something. Like, there's something going around. Everyone has they have space lice, shit. They have space lice. And so it's like, all right, sure. So she does that, and then it's lunchtime chat because she's hungry. She's hungry for some reason, and she has lunchtime. Ooh, she had her be alien would be cool. Harbin would think of the reason I've only seen you request a penis alien. I would have liked this alien just got like a big drippy penis and it attacks you with it, chat, or sprays. So that would have been really just gross and cool. That's what I would have done, chat. That's just me. Harbin would think of the reason though. But we cut, and then it's Ripley going to lunch. And it's basically like I don't want her to sit with us because she's got cooties. Guys, you know what the warden told us earlier? I don't know if you guys have heard, but she has a vagina. And going, gross, a vagina. But some guys are like, yes. Some guys are just like, no, we don't want any women here because we're celibate, because we like Jesus. It's like, is this like, fucking Mormons? Space Mormon shit? Okay, sure. And we're like, oh God. Some are like, we're not all about the ladies. Others are like, this is the first time I've seen a woman in like a decade, so I'm all about this right now. But she goes and sits down next to Charles Dutton, who seemed nice because, he did give his life to her, saying like, I am the only black man on set in this movie, and I've pledged myself to you and any other white girls that may or may not die in this film. I will lay down my life. She's like, well, you seem kind of cool. He's like, thanks. And she's like, so what do you guys do? And it's like, we like to talk about Jesus. And they just start talking about vagina more. That would be amazing. They just start talking about Jesus, and it's like, do you believe in Jesus? Like, not really. It's like, have you seen God? I've seen the devil, referring to the alien, chat. Meanwhile, we cut to an AC duct, an air conditioning duct, chat, where we find a pale, bald, British white man, and he's working on something, but he finds all this alien goo, and he sees that it's like a trail that goes down to this hole. And he looks down the hole, and he's like, what's that? And then the alien goes, boo! And it, like, shoots something at him. I think it was like it sprays something at him. I assume it's acid. It sprays, but I don't know if they can spit. But it sprays substance into his pale British white face. And he goes, oh, more 48. And it's like, at least he looks different now, so I can tell who he is. But he fucking starts tripping and shit, and he falls all the way down the duct into this giant industrial fan. Like, if I was working in, chat, this is just me. If I was working in the super horny Jesus penal colony in space, and I had to work the air ducts, I'd say, like, let's turn off the power to the air duct I'm working in so I don't get sucked into it and then eviscerated by the giant fan. I would ask for that. Like, and listen, I might be a prisoner, but I have some fucking rights. But they're like, nope, we don't turn off the giant industrial-sized fan. So this guy tumbles into it and just gets eviscerated by it. His ass gets torn up, chat. And it's like, ooh. But eventually we cut from that, and we get a nice, very whisper-heavy conversation between Ripley and Tywin Lannister, where it's like, Tywin, I have a question for you. What's your question, Ripley? I talked to Charles Dutton, and he was talking about Jesus and Christian God stuff. So what's... And it's like, literally, it's like, what? What? But she asked him, so what's the deal with the religion here? What's it about? Like, that's interesting. Like, ooh, let's do some world building. Let's expand upon this, why these guys think this way. Because in one of the original scripts, The Wooden Planet with the Monks, they viewed the alien as literally the fucking devil. That's what it was. It was Satan. Come to their wooden space station. And they don't want to have it, Chad. And you have some people that are like, no, this is the Messiah. We must save this thing. This creature must breed. And all the like crazy, different sects in the religion who read the books differently, the doctrine differently, Chad, interpret in different ways. Like, okay, that's kind of cool. And here, fucking Tywin Lannister just says it's like Christian fundamentalism. And that's it. And it's like, okay. All right, so they're just Jesus freaks. That's it. They're literally just Jesus freaks. It's like, okay, sure. And he's like, hey, you want a bane? And she's like, yep. And so then they go and have sex because apparently, I guess, hey, he's the one that was giving her all that morphine and he was the one that was kind of holding her hand during the funeral when they dumped Newt and Hicks's body in the lava bucket and gave her that explanation about, religion. She's like, apparently she's like, yeah, it made me horny, so let's go. And so they have sex, and it's so unearned, so completely unearned, but they fucking do it. They do it. And she's like, they're all nuzzling into each other and stuff. And he's like, Ripley, there's some things you don't know about me. She's like, I don't care. I want more of that hairless body of yours, because he is smooth everywhere, Chad. He is smooth. But before he can explain himself and the reasons why he is at the penal colony, Chad, there's more to it. He gets a little ring-a-ding-ding because apparently they found parts of the AC guy, and they want his medical opinion. And he's like, oh, shit, I got to get over there. So I'll be back in a bit, Ripley, and then we'll go for round 2. Am I right? It's completely unearned, but we'll go for round 2. She's like, cool. But then she gets the idea because she's like, that seems weird. Like, the acid blood in the escape pod, and then I heard something about, like, a guy that died. That sounds like alien bullshit. And so she goes and investigates the ship because she wants to find the body of Bishop in the junk pile, because he would know, his body, which is connected to the Sulaco, would know of all the events like on the ship at this point. And because at this point she's like, okay, well, the alien clearly just didn't get on us. It was ejected. The Sulaco blew up or whatever, so it's fine. But now she's like, the alien might be here. So she goes and investigates the ship stuff and hoping to find Bishop's body. Meanwhile, we cut to Tywin, who is in the AC duct, which is covered in pale white bald British man giblets and intestines. And they're like, what happened to him? He's like, well, he clearly fell into the fucking fan because he's everywhere. So how do you know it's him? Well, that's his boot. Like, how do you know that guy so well that you can recognize him by his boot? Interesting. But it's like, okay. Eventually, he goes and talks to the warden, and the warden's like, I heard you fucking Ripley. These walls, these thick metallic walls, they're thin. That doesn't mean that they're thin. It doesn't matter. He's like, I heard you've been fucking her. I don't like that. As you know, we have an honor system here, okay? And we like Jesus, and we don't like the vajayjay, all right? So I don't want you to do that anymore. He's like, I'll do what I want. I'm a free man. It's like, you're not a free man. You're a prisoner, okay? Did you tell her why you're here? Tywin? He's like, I'll tell her next time I see her, and she'll still love me. It's like, okay. Eventually, we come back to Ripley, and she finds the parts of Bishop in the trash. He looks really fucked up. He's super milky mac and cheesy. But as she's moving his body parts to, like, one location to plug into him and, like, find out some stuff, she is attacked by some horny, bald British guys because they're like, we can't help it, we need you. And they're about to gang rape her, Chad. That's what's about to happen. Where they push her, they get over this railing, they hold her legs, they hold her arms, and they're pulling down her pants, Chad. But thankfully, Chad, her mystical, magical black man has appeared. As like, I said I would lay down my life to protect my white savior, my white woman, and you would not lay a hand on her. And he just starts beating the shit out of all these pale British white guys, Chad. Kicks all of their asses. All right, he has a life debt to Sigourney Weaver, okay, during the lava bucket funeral. She won't have it. Eventually, they all go away because they're scared of Charles Dutton. But Ripley, she's like, well, I'm going to give a punch in there too. And she punches this one guy. He gets knocked out. Eventually, we then cut to 3 random British white guys we have never seen before. They're again, they're working with advanced technology, but they choose not to use some of that technology where they have candles. Having like a candle in space is fucking weird. It's like, they're like, everything's lit by candles in this. Like, are we in a castle? It's just, okay. It's like, all right, sure. And so they have all of the, first of all, having an open flame in this like industrial sized thing where you're dealing with different gases and fumes and what have you, and different substances. Like, this all feels very flammable to me. I wouldn't feel comfortable with I should shoot dead had candles, true. And it was weird. It's religious stuff. I guess it's religion. But they're putting all these candles around, and they're eating, I don't know, what do British people eat? Untasty, very salty food, I assume. They're eating like fucking mutton chops and I don't know, baked beans or something. And they're sitting there enjoying their fucking beans, chat. And then they see that the candles start like flickering back and forth. Like, what was that? And so it was just the wind, it was. But it was not the wind, chat. It was the alien, which then attacks them and just kills them, just eviscerates them. One guy tries to crawl away. Chase is like, your beans, your boy. And crumpets, yeah, crumpets. English muffin, definitely crumpets, biscuits. All that. He has like a handful of biscuits and crumpets and beans, and he's trying to waddle away, and it's like, come here, motherfucker, and he fucking kills him, chat. And so no one gets any beans except for the alien, but the alien does not eat beans. Its diet has mainly consisted of dog and bald British white people, chat. That's about it. Eventually, we cut to Ripley. And she is plugging Bishop in, gets like a big old battery up his ass, and boom, he comes on. I will say, you know, occasionally, chat, this movie does have its moments, and I really like this scene. Like, the animatronics for Bishop here is great. Like, it's not, I mean, it's Lance Hendrickson coming back and doing the voice. He has a cameo at the end of the movie, but the animatronic for this is awesome. He's so fucked up, but the voice work is great, and he looks so sad and pathetic. And Ripley's just basically asking, she's like, how you doing, Bishop? He's like, I'm not great. I'm extra milky. She's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Hey, I got some questions for you. And the thing is, it's answers to the things that she's asking are, you know, her questions are answers we already have. Because we've been seeing the alien killing those people. We know there's an alien on board and everything. So it's just like now she's getting informed, but we're already aware of it, which is kind of weird to me. But it's like, okay. I mean, shouldn't we be like Ripley in this scene and like, we are discovering along with Ripley? But it's like, yeah, of course, duh. I've been watching this movie the past, 45 minutes. I've seen all this shit, but she has no fucking clue. But she's like, hey, were there alien eggs on board? And he goes, yep. And she doesn't ask like how they got there. Like my question after, like, were there alien eggs on board? Mm-hmm. How did they get there? I don't know. And we never know. They never say why the eggs are there. And she goes, okay. The alien eggs were on there. Cool, I know that. Did the alien eggs crash land with us on this weird penal horny planet? And he goes, yep. Mm-hmm. And she goes, okay. Did one of the alien, are they, based on your analysis, is there a fully grown alien probably here? Yep. It's like, okay. And does Wayland Yutani know about it? Yeah, I told him. They're on their way. Yeah. She's like, all right. And she unplugs him, and that's it. And he's gone. He's like, all right. We did the one thing we did learn is that Wayland Yutani is on their way to the planet, chat. And so at this point, Ripley then goes to the warden to tell them that, okay, there is a fucking alien here. All right, I've encountered this organism in 2 other movies. We need to get mobilized. We need to get like all the guards ready and fight this thing. Where are your weapons? And they go, yeah, we don't have weapons. She goes, you're a maximum security prison, and you don't have any guns. You have nothing. He goes, we have an honor system? And she goes, you mean like the honor system that prevented me from almost getting me raped earlier? That honor system? Yeah, that's really fucking working out for you so far. And so she's like, well, we don't like your vagina. And she's like, here we go. The vagina hate, chat. So this point's like, the warden's not listening here, doesn't believe her. The guards are like, we don't care. We are honorable, really horny Jesus freaks. And it's like, all right, cool. Eventually, oh, God. She goes back to Tywin, and she asks him, hey, is there a way off this fucking planet? And he goes, nope. No, we purposely disable all the ships so we can't get off the planet. And she's like, why would you do this? Because we belong here, Ripley. And then he does his backstory. He's like, there's something I need to tell you before we have sex a second time. And he's like, I was a doctor back in the day, okay? But I was addicted to the morphine. I had an opioid addiction, okay? And I was so fucking high one day, I prescribed all these workers the wrong dosage, and they fell asleep while working, and it got that one particular worker and several workers and 11 other workers fucking killed. They died because of me, Ripley, and I belong here. We all belong here. And she goes like, yeah, I understand that, but I want to get the fuck out of here. He's like, I get that, but I love you. She's like, I love you too. You're like definitely of all the pale British bald guys that I've seen, you are definitely the best. And right before, Chad, they're about to start smooching, alien comes out of the fucking vent and just fucking brains Tywin Lannister right in the face, Chad. Everything. And those pretty blue eyes are gone, Chad. And it just starts eating him. And Ripley's like, oh my God. And she starts crawling the fucking floor, Chad, as it starts going to town on Tywin. But the alien sees her. He's like, ah. And he comes and then it's the famous scene from the trailer, which actually is a really cool fucking scene, Chad. It's a really awesome scene when she's pressed up against all the way against the wall, just like looking like this. And this thing just right fucking next to her, just, but it's like, no, and it just fucking leaves. It's like, no, I don't like you. And it just leaves. And she's like, what the fuck was that about? It should have killed me. And also drags Tywin Lannister's body to eat it. I don't know, to fuck it. Do something bad to Tywin, chat. And it's like, all right, Tywin, you spent time with Ripley. Now you're going to spend time with me. And she was like, well, that was really weird. I didn't expect that at all. But then after, Tywin dies, she runs to the mess hall. Woo, chat. You want a dog named Utani? Oh, that's a fucking awesome name. Yeah, name your pups like Waylon Utani. That'd be awesome. What do you got? Who is that new follower? Andre Johnson, 25. Andre, thank you so much for the follow. You're my new Huckleberry. Welcome to the stream. Currently reviewing Alien 3, where Tywin Lannister just got killed, eaten, and maybe fucked by the alien. And the alien, for whatever reason, is not interested in Ripley. He's like, I don't like your smell, girl. Woo, you say, and she does look, I will say, chat, everyone on this fucking planet looks really stinky. No one looks like they're bathed, chat. Like, I did not see a single fucking bar of soap on this world. I'm like, yeah, there's no way they're bathing much. And she just fucking reeks. You know what about it? I would demand all the answers I know from Bishop. It's like, tell me everything. Whatever. Oh, Lord. Bishop's like, according to the script, this happens, then this. Yes, exactly. It's whatever the fucking script. I don't know. I didn't read it. They didn't have a working script when they did that scene, which is so funny. But then she runs all the way to the mess hall at this point, chat, where the warden, I knew it's the warden because he's the fat one and he has the bouncy ball. And she's like, oh my God, everybody, Tywin Lannister just got by the alien. And they're like, we don't believe you because you have a vagina. And she's like, oh my God, please. And the warden's like, we will have order here. We're all about Jesus. And then he looks up because there's like some blood dripping down. He goes, huh? And the alien goes, Phoom! And just drags him up there, chat. We are to eviscerates him, and all his guts, his big, blubbery British guts fall out along with the bouncy ball. Everyone goes, "Fuck! What the fuck was that?" Like, they're very scared now. Now that's really heavy Cockney fucking accents coming out, chat. And so at this point, they're like having a meeting in the atrium thing, which looks really gross and covered in asbestos. And they're like, well, who's going to lead us? And Charles Dutton's like, I vote for the white woman over there who I've pledged my life to. And so, because they said, well, you are a lieutenant. She is a lieutenant in, not in the military, but whatever, or I guess Waylon Utani. She's an officer. And so they're like, yo, you have a vagina. You should be in charge of us. And she's like, all right, sure. And so when we were at this point, the movie just looks so just like, ugh. There's a reason for it, because she's like, oh, I don't feel great. I'm just hungry and I'm tired and stuff. And my feet hurt and I feel very emotional. It's like, what's going on with Ripley, chat? She's got some symptoms of some kind. But then she just starts explaining the alien and the history of it. And she's like, I've encountered these things twice. Initially, when I was a lieutenant on this commercial vessel called the Nostromo, I used fire against it because we had conventional weapons. We had a flamethrower. We used it against there. And then we encountered a hive of them on LV-426, managed to beat them back. But maybe if we're able to trap it, while also using whatever we can get in terms of like making fire, maybe we can, contain it. And they're like, do you have any place where that would be the best place to contain it? And they go, yes, in the deepest, darkest bowels of the penal colony. So it's like, oh, great. Let's go down into the quote unquote basement of the shitty, stinky prison. And so we go into the toxic waste disposal, which is in giant, big fucking letters, which looks so comedic to me. It's like toxic waste disposal. Okay. And she's like, all right, cool. So what we just got to do is we just got to block up certain areas, and we'll use like flares and shit. Oh, flares. That's going to, and like Molotov cocktails to push it into the toxic waste dump and just put toxic waste on it. And then for whatever reason, Charles Dutton's like, now listen to me. Why should we lay down our lives for you? And it's like, you just said you would do that earlier. And it's like, was this shot out of sequence? Like, I know in movies, chat, like, you're not shooting everything in chronological order. Most of the times you're like, hey, we're going to shoot this part here, shoot this part here. It can be anything. You can shoot the end of the movie, and then we'll shoot the beginning at the end. It can be all sorts of things. But it's very weird where he's all like, we're going to fucking promote Ripley to leader of us. And now he's like, why should we do what you're telling us to do? And it's like, what? There's no consistency. There's no consistency. Praise for Chris and his sanity. Help him, Lord. Thank you, Dizzy Duck. Thank you. It's a very frustrating movie. But she somehow convinces Charles Dutton. He's like, I like you, white lady. I will lay down my life for you. I know you will. I know you will. I know. Blackerface, I know. But then we just cut to all the wonderful characters we've come to meet and love, all the pale British white men in this movie. And they're fucking like setting up traps and shit and blocking off certain entrances. And then we see this one guy like climbing up this ladder. But I think he like drops like, I don't know, like a flare or something. So drops something down. And he's reaching for it, Chad. He's like, I want to get off the ladder. I want to reach for it. And he's reaching for it, Chad. When he pulls himself up, the aliens there goes, ah! And it fucking starts eating his face. And then he drops the flare, which then ignites like some gunpowder or something, some kind of explosive device. It sets it off, and it creates this chain reaction, Chad, that just goes down all these tunnels, and it kills off like 10 or 20 pale British white guys, and you don't know who they were, but we see all their crusty, crispy corpses later on, and Ripley's like, I feel really bad about killing these. No, you don't. No one knows who that guy was. No one cares. It's like, that's the thing that's wrong with this movie. It's my common complaint of a lot of bad horror films, Chad. Like in the original Alien, you care when those people die because they feel real. It's those blue-collar workers in space. It's space truckers, chat. They're caught in the worst situation possible. They shouldn't have been there. They were sent there under false pretenses, chat, and now they're stuck and they're trying to figure this out. When you're in Aliens, you're with those fucking Marines, like, oh, we're big, we're fucking tough, we got this. But then when shit hits the fan, they panic, and you're only with like a certain number of them, chat. But you feel something. You feel something when fucking Hudson is pulled under the fucking grates as he's getting killed by those things. You feel something when Vasquez kills herself, sacrifices herself with Gorman when she blows up that fucking grenade so the other people can get the hell out of there, chat. You feel like you have a visceral reaction, like, oh my God. Like, because, you know, it's exciting too. You don't care about any of these guys when they die. You're like, I don't know who that guy was. They all look the fucking same. So when that happens, it's like, all right. Okay, they're just there to be slaughtered. They're just there for an action scene. Just there to show off the dog alien. But it's not good. It's not good in any way. But there she's watching all this shit. And she starts getting bubbly gut. She's like, oh, my tummy. Oh. And she starts like, I'm hungry, but I'm bloated and my tummy hurts. And then she starts she starts coughing, and she's like, oh, no. And then she gets this one bald British white guy. I think his name is like Aaron or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I think his name is Aaron. I think that's one of the names I recall. And she's like, I need you to check my tummy. And so then they go to the medical wing or whatever, and they get this ultrasound machine. And he's like, you need to see if there's something inside me. And he's like, all right. And he looks in there, and he goes, my God. He's like, what do you see? And we see that there is indeed a chest burster inside of her, chat. And, he goes, it's horrible, it is. And for whatever reason, she says it's a queen, which I don't know why she knows it's a queen. Now, I understand, now we get why the alien wouldn't attack her, because it senses the embryo inside of her. But so if that was like a regular like drone or a warrior alien or a dog or like, you know, the runner alien, which is what this one is called. And ever since the movie was released, they can refer to this specific alien as the runner alien because it moves very fast. That's its ability. It moves very quickly in the environment that's in. But so if it was a drone or whatever, it would just kill her outright. But since it's a queen, a mother knows, I guess that. So I guess that's what happens, chat, where that's the reason why it didn't kill her. But still, it's like there's a queen inside her tum-tum. And she's all really sad about it. And Aaron, like, is like, should I tell anybody? She's like, no, don't tell anybody. I gotta do something. No one else will die because of me today, okay? I'm gonna kill it myself. And then she goes deeper into the butthole of the prison, chat, and it's like, it's really gross down here. And then she just starts seeing it, and she just randomly starts seeing it. Like, because we have all this piping and shit, and these weird, like, machines. It all looks like the alien, and she has a pipe. She's like, well, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna stab with this pipe. Because as we all know, Chad, the pipe will definitely take down the alien. She's poking shit. But eventually she stumbles across it. And it goes, hey, leave me alone. I'm eating your boyfriend. But it like jumps down. And then there's like a lot of awkward cuts. Because it jumps down and then it cuts. And then she's talking to Charles Dutton. So I don't know if there was supposed to be more of a scene after that. Like for her, like this thing like near her. That would have been really interesting to me. If it was another scene where the alien's there, it encounters her, and it just moves around her. It's like, no, there's a queen inside you. I'm not going to do that. But we don't know. But she then goes back to Charles Dutton, her mystical, magical black man, and she says, I went down there, and it didn't do anything. There's a little baby queen in my tum-tum, and I need you to do me a solid, Charles Dutton. He's like, what can I do for you? And she's like, I need you to kill me before the third act. And he's like, now you know my promise that I would not hurt any white women in this movie. I made sure that no white woman would get hurt in this film. I would not stand for it. And she's like, yeah, I know that, but can you like chop my head off right now? And he goes, all right. And so he picks up a fucking axe, chat, and Ray's like, well, this is how it's gonna fucking end, huh? Ripley being decapitated by a very, very loud Charles Dutton, and he fucking swings that axe, chat, but he almost just doesn't hit her. Just the axe goes right next to her, and he goes, listen, you're going. First of all, it doesn't make any sense because at this point, like her whole thing before this was like, no one else is gonna die because of me. All right. Well, clearly you're in a unique place because the alien won't hurt you because you're pregnant with a queen. So why don't you use yourself in a situation where you can battle the alien while everyone else gets away? Now it's like, no, I want to die. It's like, no, this is a unique situation. Charles Dutton recognizes this and says, I'm not going to kill you yet. We got to kill that thing, and then I will kill you. And she's like, sounds good. And so then we get probably the big action sequence in the film where now that their plan is, we're not going to keep it in toxic waste disposal. We're going to put it inside one of the giant lava buckets that we saw earlier where they put Newt and Hicks in. We're going to basically shut down certain tunnels, and so it has only one option to go inside of a giant lava bucket. And that's what we're going to do. And they're like, okay. And so all these bald British white guys, and it's this one sequence where we see from the perspective of the alien where it's chasing them. And it's cool. It's a cool sequence, chat. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's like that's one of the other positives about the movie, I would say. Like we got that one sequence of Bishop and it looks like the animatronics awesome looking. And I do like this little action sequence here, to be positive about it. And so they set up a whole fucking bunch of traps and shit for it. And it's just a whole bunch of British people going, oi, yo, fucker, come and get me. And, the alien does do that. It grabs a number of the British guys. And the thing is, though, this is when they use a lot of the blue screen here, because they do use a puppet. But then we see a lot of stop motion. I was like, why did you go from using a guy in a suit? And like in the first movie and in the second film, chat, people in suits, animatronics, and now we're going with stop motion. It's like, why are we going backward? It looks so bad. It looked bad back in 1992, chat. And they got these blue screen effects, and it's like, ugh. But yeah, and this thing is killing people, and eventually, a lot of British white people die. Who cares? And it's down to Charles Dutton, and it's down to Ripley, who are running away from this thing, and they go inside of one of the lava buckets, chat, and this thing goes inside one of the lava buckets. But at this point, Ripley's like, okay, Charles, get up there, and I'll keep it down here. He goes, no, Ripley, because now, chat, now we've come to the Blackriffice, what I have dubbed as the Blackriffice, chat. There are The Alien franchise is fraught with them, Chad. From Alien 3 on, there's a lot of blackifices. And this is the first big blackifice, if you will. And he's like, no, even though I can't escape, and we can, kill two birds with one stone by dropping all of the lava, in this case, it's like molten lead on you and the alien, thus defeating the alien and the baby queen that resides inside you. As a black man, I must perform the blackifice. And so she's like, okay. And so she climbs out of this thing as this thing just goes right at Charles Dutton and just starts ripping he's preaching. He's always preaching in this movie. That's his dialogue. He has that cadence. And I say the Lord will smite the devil, and I am the devil smiter. It's like, all right, okay, Charles, okay. But this thing just beelines right to Charles Dutton, and it just tears his ass up, Chad. He's getting fucked. And eventually Ripley goes up there, and she hits the switch or whatever, and all the molten lead starts getting poured down into it, Chad, and obviously killing fucking Charles Dutton. Naya's been here, Nizzy Ducky. She's been here for a while. Kills Charles Dutton, melts him into like goop, and it goes all on the alien. But it's like, oh, the alien got defeated. Okay. But Chad, because then the alien bursts out of the molten lead and starts coming after Ripley, seemingly fine. Ripley's like, I'm going to use the power of water to defeat the alien, chat. So I guess she saw M. Night Shyamalan's signs. And she goes to the sprinkler system, which is like right above the lava buckets. And she hits it. And then the water, the ice cold water comes down, chat. Hits the alien. And because the alien is so hot in a non-sexual way, chat, maybe sexual. I mean, it doesn't have a giant penis head. But it goes on the water, chat, covers it. And it then solidifies. And I forget, did Ripley, someone hits it. I think she hits it with something, and it just breaks apart into ice chunks, where it then falls into, what's left of it, chat, falls into the lava bucket with melted Charles Dutton. After she gets out, chat, she's like, oh, my tummy. Oh, like that queen is ready to be birthed, chat. That thing is a coming. But meanwhile, chat, Wayland Yutani have arrived at the facility. They are there, and they're being led by Bishop Lance Hendrickson, chat. Lance Hendrickson. And he approaches Ripley, and he's like, hey, how you doing? Listen, I want the queen that's inside of your tummy. I guess they already knew about the queen. I guess Bishop he contacted him. He's like, yeah, I know she's pregnant with an alien, so there you go. And she goes, Bishop? And he's like, not really. I'm Bishop Wayland, I guess. And I sent my android counterpart to be with you, so if we ever had this scene, you would like me. I don't know. It doesn't make any fucking. Okay, sure, okay, fine. But then Aaron, who is the guy who saw the alien inside of her prego tummy, he realizes what's happening, and he fucking like hits Bishop, not like, I guess Wayland Bishop, Mr. Wayland, let's call him, chat, with like a wrench, and like tears his fucking ear off. Like, if you look in the scene, chat, like, you don't have to notice it because the shot's not great, but his ear's like hanging by a fucking thread. It's like, oh my God. While Ripley runs away and positions herself like on this this moving walkway is away from them, and she's like, well, I'm gonna jump into the lava bucket. And Wayland's like, no, Ripley, we can learn so much from the alien. We can take it from you. We can save your life. You need not die. And she's like, you'll never have it. And then she just fucking's like, she yeets herself, Chad. She yeets herself off the walkway into the lava bucket, but it's more like really bad blue screen fire. And then the alien comes out of her tummy, and it's all, and she's like holding on to it because she's like, you ain't getting anywhere, motherfucker. And then she goes into the blue screen fire, chat, where she joins the runner alien and the melty, goopy body of Charles Dutton, chat. And that, my friends, is the end of Alien 3. That's how the fucking movie. Actually, no, it's not. It's not. Because Wayland gets really sad, and he's like, well, just shut down the facility, and I guess they arrest Aaron. I have no idea what happened to that character, shit. I have no idea, but they arrest him because he's the only survivor, and we then cut to the escape pod where, and this is weird to me, the escape pod starts playing Ellen's message from the Nostromo. Like, how did the Sulaco escape pod have the message that she recorded at the end of the first movie in the lifeboat from the... It doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's like, oh, it's like a cat because it ends with, this is Ellen Ripley signing off. Because she signs off for the fucking last time, chat. They clearly kill him. They definitely kill him. There's no question about it. But that's the end of the movie. And it's just like, all right, really, this is the best you could have done out of everything. After Aliens, this was it. It's an abomination, chat. It's an abomination of a film. It's a bunch of half ideas, some of them good, most of them bad. Unlikable, unrecognizable characters. That'd be like, you don't even know who's dying. It's like, who the fuck are these people? You have no idea. Weird character decisions, especially for Ripley. Awful decisions in terms of the writing of killing beloved characters off before the movie even starts. It's just bad. It's a bad movie, Chad. It's insulting, especially based on the legacy of the previous two films. Some of the best sci-fi horror, sci-fi action movies of all time, and this is what you can come up with. And it gets worse from here. And it gets worse. And that's the crazy thing. So, well, it can't get worse than Alien 3. Then we get Alien Resurrection. Then we get Prometheus. And then we get Alien Covenant. And hey, the AVP films too. Like, I'll even say this, Chad. I've done a review for Alien vs. Predator. And Alien vs. Predator is better than Alien 3. It's probably the third best Alien movie, which is fucking nuts to think about. But still, I mean, that's like a rental. But this, chat, I mean, I don't know. Like, can I say a fuck you? Because there are legitimately, like, interesting things about it. Like, there are, like, I like this moment, I like that moment. But it's just so many wasted ideas and such a bad way to end this character's journey, even though it does not end. It does come back, obviously, in Resurrection 200 years later, but man, it's a very low, steaming pile of some old bullshit, chat. Some old bullshit. Oh, AVP Requiem is probably the worst. That's the worst one, you know, in general, of both franchises, of Predator and Alien. That one is just like that's a true abomination. This is abomination, but that is like, ooh, that's rough. Oh, Aaron is the warden's monkey. He's the only one they kept on down because someone ran. Is like, you remember this because only comedic moment in this dull ass blank slam. Which I even remember. They probably said that, but everyone was whispering, and I couldn't understand them because they were whispering. Oh, I talk like this, yeah. Yeah. Yep, and there you go. Luke the boss, thank you for the bitty. Ripley, once I jump in the molten lead, Superman will no longer be able to sneak a peek at my butt. It's true. Perfectly in case. It blows my mind that stuff like Aliens or Predator constantly get botched. Yeah, it's nuts because they start off so great. So well, especially Alien. It's like no one, not even the original creator could come back and do it right. Not even Ridley Scott for Prometheus and Alien Covenant could recapture the magic. It's nuts. You know, it's like what I said at the beginning, chat. It's like, even though I've only liked one of his films, Neil Blomkamp, District 9. I did not like Elysium. I really did not like Chappie. I really wanted to see what he would do to just wipe all that shit, get it out of there. Let's do a proper conclusion. And I don't know if we'll ever do. I don't know if we'll ever get that. Maybe. I doubt it because Disney owns it, and Disney's turning Alien into a TV franchise now, and it's just like, all right. I mean, hopefully it'll be good. You got Noah Hawley writing it, show running it, and he's a talented guy. You know, Fargo and Legion. He's like, yeah, he's no one to blow your nose at you. He's talented. So, hoping for the best. But it's just like, fuck, that was a good opportunity to end this on a really nice note. But this is what we get. So what we get. To me, Chad, as I've always said, in my mind, Aliens are the movies that happened, and Ripley, Newt, Hicks, Bishop, they're still out there in space. Still traveling, still waiting to be found one day. They're safe. They're secure, but they are not having those nightmares, Chad. Only peaceful dreams. They have not. They will never experience these films, these other movies, but they're still out there somewhere, waiting to be rediscovered, waiting to be saved. That's how I look at it. That's how I have to just think about it in my own mind, in my own headcanon, Chad. Oh my Lord. Matches are harder to maintain than you think. What is a long-running on-tape? I mean, yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, long-running, yeah. I don't know. I just wish they had a chance to do another one and just end it. Just like, okay, here we go. Boom. Now we can move on. They can move past Ripley and shit if they want to keep it going. Ugly Mug, really, from Boba. Good to see you, Ugly Mug. I like your name. I hope you're doing very well. Fuck the rest there and the bullshit either with the stars. But yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah. Bad boy. One of the Chrome Domes was Pete Postlethwaite. Yeah, that's right. From Unusual Suspects and Lost. I knew he was in there, but I'm like, I don't need to. I knew Pete Postlethwaite was in there, but I was like, he's barely a character. I didn't have time to name all the white British bald guys. But he is in there. You do recognize him. Very unique facial features is what I'll say. But I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope that was fun for you, chat. I will be doing Alien Resurrection tomorrow, chat. I'll be doing my scene by scene breakdown, Alien Resurrection. Then Wednesday, I'll be doing Prometheus. So I'll get some Alien films for the spoopy seasons, chat. Mm-hmm. And look at the other characters in there. He's there. Yeah, he dies. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Of the British white people, he is probably the most, other than Tywin who dies, he is probably the most other recognizable face. Everyone else, I'm like, I don't know. Oh, Lord. I mean, yeah, that's a goddamn shame. But I do encourage you, chat, to, like, a lot of these scripts are online. And they've been turned to audiobooks of Alien 3. There's graphic novels based on them. I would encourage you to check some of these out because they are interesting. You know, maybe they're not perfect, but it's like, that's kind of, okay, I didn't expect that. So I think it would have been kind of cool if they expanded the xenomorph physiology where it's like, okay, they're gone, but now you have them as like a disease and they're infecting people and turning them into abomination monsters. That's kind of interesting. I guess we kind of get that to a degree in Prometheus, but it's not really executed well. But that would have been cool. Like, what if the aliens are just gone now, but then you have them as a disease and you have people just mutating horrifically and you have to escape this space. Like, it's going to be simple. Like, that's the thing about Alien, because later on in the series, because, yeah, we got Alien 4, and Alien 4 is just, I mean, it doesn't do anything better than any of the other movies in any capacity. It's very French, and also very oddly horny in a way. And Ripley's just unrecognizable. But Sigourney Weaver, I mean, again, I think she's like, I want to give it another try because Alien 3 didn't end on a good note, but just a weird fucking transition for her character, Chad's like, I don't like this at all. Make her an alien-human hybrid. Like, that idea is interesting to me, but I think they how they went with it was bad, making her just like really horny and good at basketball. That was written famously by Joss Whedon. It feels like, you know what? It feels like Alien mixed with Firefly, but it's not good. That's what Alien Resurrection is, chat. Yeah. I think you should just keep Alien simple. Like, make it a survival horror story in space. Like, let's do a space station. Let's go back. Let's keep it simple, all on this one location. But Weyland-Yutani has finally weaponized the alien physiology. Like, they don't have the eggs anymore and stuff. They can't replicate it, but they have a disease now. It's a biological weapon, and it fucking breaks out. It gets out there. People are infected, and they become these abomination creatures. That's what it needs to be. That would be fine. And you got and Ripley and Hicks and Newt and Bishop have to get the fuck out of there and end it once and for all. That's how you do it, I feel like. That's how I think I would like to see that, but that's just me. There's an audiobook that tells an alternative history following Alien 2 based on an old script for Alien. Oh, there's a lot of that Crooked Shoe tells, yeah. About that as well. Might be based on the William Gibson script, but there's others too. There's a couple more. Alien Force Prototype, really? Yep. It is indeed Blackstone. Skrulls, I think she was horny because she fused with her alien queen DNA and her instinct was to mate. Oh, yeah, she wants to mate. Well, she wants to fuck Winona Ryder in that movie constantly. I'll talk about that shit. Like, anytime Winona Ryder is in the room, she is rubbing up on her all the time. So, I mean, it's like, she's going to mate. Nothing's going to happen. But I felt like Whedon looking at the space pirate stuff in Resurrection going, all right, I'm going to do it right. No, very much so. Yeah. All Dark Horse, yep, I've read some of those Dark Horse comics. Mm-hmm. Winora's most captivating role as an android. She's not good in the movie, though, I'll tell you what. They gave her some really bad lines. Like, no, they need to be destroyed. And she's always crying and shit. She cries a lot for an android. I read Midnight Mass Director wants to do a horror movie in Star Wars universe. That would be really cool. Mike Flanagan. I wouldn't mind that. Thank you, JC, for the 70s. Alien Aliens is the same problem as Terminator 2. They made 2 amazing movies, and they have never been able to reach those heights. Nope. But they'll keep trying. Maybe. I mean, Disney is, that Aliens FX series is coming. I'm curious about it. I don't say I'm excited, but I'm curious to see what that's going to be like. Which was better, Alien Resurrection or Halloween Resurrection? Oh, boy. I don't know. Alien Resurrection does not have Busta Rhymes. I would have liked to have seen Busta Rhymes say trick or treat, motherfucker, and then battle an alien. That would have been really cool. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. It's too hard. Ugh. Oh, that's a Sophie's fucking choice of shit. Oh, my Lord. Anyway, chat, I hope you enjoyed the review. We're going to be switching on over. Thank you for all your generosity and support, chat. Very, very kind. Thank you for all the biddies and all the subscriptions. But we're going to go ahead and switch on over to some Resident Evil 4. Just give me moments. Going to switch out a wire. Give me some other drink. Oh, Fiorina Exploder. Fiorina Exploder. Thank you so much for resubscribing. Love the channel and your style, Chris. Have fun at the live shows. Thank you for Explorer. Sadly, I will not. I've been told I am not going to LA, but as far as I know, I am going to the Chicago show. And I would go to Chicago anyway because I'm going to be meeting Squish there, chat, which should be fun. But yeah, sadly, I've been told I'm not going to LA. But I will be going to Chicago, hopefully, unless something changes. Crispy, I'm sorry, Lorenzo. I just finished the review. It was a fun one. It was a good one. It was a good time. Oh, I see you show. Nice. I'll be there, hopefully. But chat, I'm going to go ahead and just switch out a few wires. I'm going to get myself another beverage. So in the meantime, look upon the awkward title card of Alien 3 with a small little alien cubed with a slanty A. Stick around.